Jake Paul has set his sights on a boxing match against Anthony Joshua in 2026, a bold declaration that has sparked a firestorm of reactions across social media and the combat sports community. Online detractors have been quick to chime in, some egging him on with a sarcastic, "Yeah, do it," while others question why he isn't stepping into the ring with Joshua right now. Paul, however, is steadfast in his timeline, brushing off calls for an immediate fight and insisting on waiting until 2026. The speculation swirling around this delay is intense. Fans and analysts alike are suggesting he's buying time to pack on weight, possibly with the aid of steroids or other performance-enhancing drugs, PEDs. Some have even jokingly proposed he load up on every steroid imaginable, tossing around wild ideas like scorpion venom or some mysterious special stuff he might be privy to. The banter is half serious, half mocking, but it underscores a pervasive skepticism about how Paul plans to prepare for such a daunting challenge. This isn't just idle chatter. Paul's potential clash with Joshua is seen as a monumentally risky move. Joshua, a former heavyweight champion with a devastating track record, is a different beast compared to the opponents Paul has faced thus far. Commentators have pointed out that Paul's best shot might be a well-timed counterpunch, a slim chance to catch Joshua off guard. But the consensus leans heavily toward Joshua securing a decisive victory, with many calling it a 100% win for the British Titan. The danger of this matchup hasn't gone unnoticed, and it's amplified by Joshua's fiery response to Paul after recent PED allegations surfaced. Joe Rogan, a prominent voice in combat sports, has weighed in, suggesting Paul's decision to push the fight to 2026 is strategic. Extra time to bulk up and, perhaps, experiment with substances to level the playing field. Paul's ambitions don't stop at Joshua. He's also called out Alex Pereira, the former UFC middleweight and light heavyweight champion known for his lethal striking and knockout power. This move has left fans and pundits stunned, with many arguing that Paul is overreaching by targeting such elite fighters. The contrast between Paul's relatively short boxing career and the pedigrees of Joshua and Pereira fuels the debate about his legitimacy in the sport. Yet, Paul remains unshaken, exuding a confidence that some admire and others dismiss as delusional bravado. The PED rumors surrounding Paul have been relentless, driven by his noticeable physical transformation. Observers point to his rapid gains in size and speed, marveling at how he's morphed from a lean YouTuber into a muscular contender in just a few years. His body has changed dramatically. His once undefined midsection now boasts sculpted abs, and his overall physique looks more imposing than ever. Fans have noted other telltale signs too: acne breakouts, a receding hairline, and a more aged appearance, all of which are often linked to steroid use. Some speculate he's tapping into cutting-edge recovery aids or unapproved hair and skin treatments to maintain his image while pushing his body to new limits. He's hit a second puberty, one commenter quipped, capturing the widespread disbelief at his evolution. Paul's boxing record adds fuel to the fire. With only a handful of years in the sport, he's racked up wins against professional fighters, a feat that traditionalists find hard to swallow. Boxing purists argue that elite-level skills take decades to hone, yet Paul has bypassed that timeline, defeating opponents with far more experience. Critics attribute his success to hard work and dedication, but the PED whispers persist. "There's no way he's doing this naturally," one skeptic remarked, echoing a sentiment shared by many who've watched his meteoric rise. Others, however, demand concrete evidence before casting judgment. Sure, it's possible he's on something, but you can't just point to his body and say it's 100% PEDs, a more cautious voice countered. Paul hasn't stayed silent amid the accusations. In a recent interview, he addressed the steroid rumors head-on, calling them bizarre, and attributing his transformation to rigorous training, proper nutrition, and sheer determination. He's even floated a provocative idea: after retiring from boxing, he'll do a cycle of steroids just to show the world what he'd look like on them, a stunt to silence the doubters once and for all. It's a classic Paul move, part defiance, part spectacle, designed to keep him in the spotlight. The boxing community remains divided. Simon Jordan, a sports analyst, has described Paul's journey as unusual and unrealistic, questioning how a YouTuber-turned-fighter can credibly challenge legends like Joshua or Canelo Alvarez. To purists, Paul's presence in the sport feels like an affront, a flashy interloper who hasn't paid his dues. Yet, his ability to draw massive paydays, potentially $50 million for a Joshua fight, can't be ignored. Even retired boxers like Jordan admit they'd consider a $5 million offer to face him, despite believing Paul isn't a good fighter in the traditional sense. "He blows me out of the water as a presenter," Jordan conceded, acknowledging Paul's knack for self-promotion, but boxing's another profession. Tommy Fury, the only man to hand Paul a professional loss, has also chimed in. Fury, who beat Paul in 2023 despite fighting with a broken hand, dismissed Paul's chances against Joshua. He couldn't beat me with one hand, and now he wants Anthony Joshua? Fury scoffed, suggesting the call-out is more about publicity than prowess. Fury's victory looms large in the debate. If Paul struggled against a relatively green pro like Fury, how could he hope to survive Joshua's power? Joshua's credentials only widen the gap. He's faced the best in the world, including Alexander Usyk, who outclassed him twice with technical brilliance. Those losses exposed Joshua's vulnerabilities but also highlighted his resilience at the elite level. Paul, by contrast, has yet to face anyone of that caliber. His most notable wins, against aging MMA fighters like Tyron Woodley or a 58-year-old Mike Tyson, pale in comparison to Joshua's resume. Fans relish the idea of Joshua decimating Paul, viewing it as a chance to see the brash upstart humbled. Paul's trash talk doesn't help his case with purists. He's claimed he'll beat Anthony Joshua's ass, and even suggested fighting Joshua and Canelo on the same night, a statement so outlandish it's alienated some who might otherwise support him. He does good things, like his camps for kids in Puerto Rico, one observer noted, but then he says crazy shit like this, and you can't stay on his side. The goodwill he earns through charity or boosting purses for lesser-known fighters evaporates when he disrespects boxing's giants. Beyond Joshua, Paul's ambitions extend to other combat sports icons. He's called out Conor McGregor, arguing that the UFC star's skills are fading while his own are on the rise. He's getting older, and I'm getting better, Paul asserted, citing his height advantage and boxing experience. He's also eyed Gervonta "Tank" Davis, though weight class disparities make that matchup unlikely. Dropping down to meet Davis's lightweight frame could jeopardize Paul's plans to bulk up for Joshua, a logistical puzzle that underscores the chaos of his call-out spree. Joe Rogan's take adds another layer. He believes Paul's 2026 timeline is deliberate, a window to gain mass and perhaps dabble in PEDs. He's not fighting in 2025 because he wants that extra year, Rogan speculated, feeding into the narrative of Paul gaming the system. Whether it's steroids or simply smart training, the delay has everyone guessing. The spectacle of Paul versus Joshua would undeniably sell. Analysts like Gareth A. Davies predict a massive payday, despite the lopsided odds. Joshua's knockout power, likened to a plumbing mule kick, makes it a very dangerous fight for Paul, who'd be relying on a single counterpunch to defy the inevitable. Yet, the public's appetite to see Paul knocked the fuck out ensures it'd be a blockbuster, regardless of competitiveness. Paul's defenders argue he's brought fresh eyes to boxing, elevating purses and interest in a sport that struggled to stay relevant. His critics, however, see an opportunist exploiting a sacred craft. Anthony Joshua doesn't need to fiddle with this, Jordan remarked, noting Joshua's already amassed a fortune. For Joshua, it's easy money. For Paul, it's a high-stakes gamble that could cement his legacy or expose his limits. As 2026 looms, the PED allegations, the trash talk, and the sheer audacity of Paul's vision keep the conversation alive. Evidence of wrongdoing remains elusive, but the suspicion lingers, fueled by his transformation, his rapid rise, and his unrelenting confidence. Whether he's a visionary disruptor or a steroid-fueled pretender, Jake Paul's showdown with Anthony Joshua promises to be one of boxing's most polarizing chapters.